This next episode is the
Moray Eel.
Is the the last category of vertebrates is fishes. Is how it starts. So we're moving on to fishes.
I really like moray eels.
And there are different types
Yes.
of... Okay.
It's different subspecies.
Okay.
In my collection, I have green and I have peppered.
Okay.
There's also giant, which gets discussed here,
Okay.
and then like honeycomb, and there's all these different types of morays.
Okay. And what are some of the unique characteristics of morays?
They're big eels.
Moray eels.
And eels
Okay.
are fish, not snakes. There's also sea snakes, which makes it really complicated, but eels are fish.
Okay.
And morays are like different things from like the ones you might eat, because those are tend to be like European eels or conger eels, and they look different.
Okay.
But moray eels are large predatory eels from coral reefs.
Okay.
And the main way they hunt is they go into the cracks of the coral and the rocks because they can fit in there.
Okay.
So the giant morays, which is a different species than the green moray,
Mm-hmm.
which I'll get into later why I like the green moray specifically. But the giant morays, which are the largest ones, live, I believe, in the Red Sea, and they live with a roving coral groupers.
Oh,
Now, groupers are giant fish.
Yeah, they're big.
They're
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
like bigger than people big.
Right.
And so what the groupers have learned to do is to hunt with the eels, because the groupers are outside and the eels in the crevices. So these groupers will go up to the eels and shake their head back and forth a few times. And that lets those eels know, because in that population of those two species, they've gotten used to this, let's hunt together. And then the eels will drive fish out of the rocks for the groupers, and the groupers will drive fish into the rocks for the eels.
Oh, so they eat different types of fish.
Yeah,
So
so-
theyll herd effectively.
Yes, but they give each other's fish, essentially.
Okay.
So they've learned to work together.
And when you say the moray eel, does the moray like sit in the crevice and open his mouth as if he is the crevice? So prey just swims into his mouth, or
No,
what does
he swims through the crevices after fish.
Oh, okay.
Or he's in a
Okay.
crevice and waits for one right outside to get close, and then
and then goes out and gets
Yeah.
okay. But he doesn't have like a little dangler fishy
no,
thing. or
that's like
anything.
snapping turtles and
Okay.
anglerfish.
So he's
no.
just basically patient.
yes.
Okay.
Because eels can just sit; they don't have to move to breathe.
Okay, not like a shark. Or
Some
anything.
sharks don't even have to do that.
Okay.
Wobblegongs don't do that.
So they're true fish. They're
Yes,
just
they're
breathing
fish, yeah.
oxygenated water,
Yeah.
effectively. Okay.
Now, the reason I like moray eels, I have a story.
Okay.
This is kind of a cute story, actually.
Okay.
So, there was a moray eel in the main tank at Shedd Aquarium, like the big Caribbean one in the center of the upstairs.
Right.
And I just liked him. I don't know. I liked him.
He had the kind of the
I'm
bad.
getting
oh,
there.
okay.
Eventually, he started to get bad eyes.
Right.
When eels get older, they just base, I guess, calluses or
Calcium. I think.
calcium, whatever.
Yeah.
They get stuff over their eyes and they can't see.
Right.
So eventually they moved them out, and I was very sad.
Yeah.
But then I found later in another tank, they had a bunch of old moray eels that in a small tank that just sit together, and they had like one other fish who I said was the dealer, and the other fish played all the eels play Go Fish and stuff. And it's my favorite exhibit. I go there every time. Last time I went, I took a video. My friends are like, they're eels. I'm like, these are my favorite fish ever. My dad calls it the Senior Eel Club.
Senior eel.
Yeah. So and I just love them. They're so cool. Also, so I was talking about giant morays and these green morays. The green morays are the second largest. They can get up to 8.2 feet long. So they're big.
Wow.
They're big boys.
Okay.
Yeah. The giant morays can get even bigger.
Oh.
But they won't hurt you unless you provoke them. Also realize they're in rocks most of the time.
Right.
So you would have to like stick your hand into a rock and
Right.
bump a moray in the face for it to bite you.
You have to really aggravate him.
Realize they were in the main tank.
Right.
They even were placed eventually with younger adults that were
Right.
like active and swimming around more often in the main tank.
Right.
And they have divers going there all the time.
Right.
And nothing ever happened.
It seems that with most things, if you keep them well fed,
And alone. Yeah.
and unless you are truly aggressively threatening,
Yeah.
most animals will warn you,
Yeah.
but really don't want to mess with you.
Yeah.
Again, if they're well fed
Yes.
and you're not ticking them off.
There are, of course, a few exceptions.
Right,
Especially with
right.
large mammalian predators.
Right.
it can be different, especially if they're in areas where they've learned they can hunt people.
Yeah.
There are
yeah.
tigers and crocodiles that have learned to hunt people.
Right.
The man-eaters is Tuavu in Africa that are
Right.
now at the Field Museum.
Right.
There are animals that can learn to hunt people.
Right.
But in general, they
But
won't.
probably they learned to hunt people because somebody pissed one off.
Yeah.
And that one ate the human, and because it was defending itself
Yeah.
and killed it,
Then
and then
realized-
went, "Wow, this is kind of tasty. Anybody got any A1 sauce?" And
But realize that's why shark attacks are so rare. Sharks don't like how we taste.
right.
See, often, for example, great whites, they'll see a surfboarder
yeah.
and think it looks like a sea turtle or
Right. A seal.
and they'll go bite it
Right.
and lip it on off and then be like, disgusting.
You know how
and then leave.
when humans eat something and they go, "Well, this tastes a little
Yeah.
fishy," so the shark's like, "This tastes a little humany."
Yeah.
It must have gone bad.
So yeah.
All right, and this particular model, accurate.
Safari.
Okay, so
So
pretty
it's good.
accurate.
If it's
okay.
Safari, it's good.
Okay.
And if they made a bad one, they will eventually release a better one.
okay.
So,
So they will update it as information.
yes, they've
comes
done that
out.
with T-Rex. They've done that with Parasaurolophus. The only ones that are a little weird are their Dino Dana collab, which
Okay.
is Dino. Do you remember Dino Dan?
Dino Dan, yes.
Dino Dana is the new version with
Oh,
his
okay.
sister,
Okay.
but it's his sister, so it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, because they will make models from that show, and that show is
Oh.
now 100% accurate.
Right.
Which, it's just kid. I'm not.
It
Gonna
was just a kid show. Yeah, it was just
And I mean, sometimes their inaccuracies are from the time, like the Spino and the Stygimoloch. That's just from the time.
Right.
Which nowadays we know better, but yeah.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, that was a very interesting creature. That was a cool. And again, you can go now. So they do have the tank at Shed Aquarium if people
Yeah.
want to go see
Two
them.
tanks.
Two tanks.
There might. I didn't see them in the main tank last time, but they should be there.
Okay.
So there's the main tank and a separate tank in like one of the hallways.
Okay. And the one that was really old, he's in a tank by himself and not on display anymore. Is that correct?
That one could have passed away. At this
He could
point. I
have,
don't
but
know.
for a while, towards the end of his life, if he's
I
dead,
think so,
he
yeah.
was kind of just given a nice retirement village. Yeah.
Lincoln Brickfield Zoo even has them with
Oh.
leopard sharks in the penguin building in the
Oh,
ocean
okay.
building. Yeah.
Okay.
So morays are pretty common. Any
Oh.
aquarium you go to probably
Probably
has
have
them.
those.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can't remember exactly, but I
They're around a lot.
Yeah,
They're not.
they're pretty
and so
common.
they're not endangered or anything.
they might be, but I don't think they're particularly.
Not particularly.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're not like catastrophic.
No.
All right. Well, I think that wraps that one up.
Yeah.